So 2020 has wrapped up, and I know this year hasn't been the greatest year with the pandemic obviously, but with 2021 here, I want to have a discussion about the Boruto anime and manga for 2020. And all I have to say that this past year was an amazing year for the Boruto series. The anime decided to finally adapt more manga material and expand upon the upcoming arc, which is known as the Vessel arc, while the manga continued to be absolutely fire as it has been for the past 3 years. I think it has been a comeback year for the Boruto franchise, especially with many fans coming back to the series after dropping the anime so long ago, including me. Yeah, you heard me right. Your boy It's Meek dropped the Boruto anime at some point. I know that's ironic as hell because I make Boruto videos, but let me tell you my story on how I got into the Boruto series. But before I get into that, however, I'm going to talk about how I got into Naruto just for a little bit. So I started watching Naruto back in 2008 on YouTube when I found it on my recommended list when I was young. Have you guys ever watched anime on YouTube before? Well, it's actually hilarious. Only real motherfuckers know that to watch a 20-minute episode of anime on YouTube, that it is always split into 35 different parts, and the video shows the episode in the small right corner with the Sasuke watermark. Yeah, that's how I watched Naruto back then as a kid. I couldn't even finish the first episode because the last part wasn't even uploaded. The first 11 parts of the episode were there, but I couldn't find the last one. Eventually, I found Naruto on Cartoon Network and I managed to finish all of part 1. Despite watching it out of order, I was able to get the gist of watching the series as many of the episodes summarized the previous episodes. Eventually, Cartoon Network got rid of Naruto as Shippuden started, and I wasn't able to watch it anymore as Shippuden aired on Adult Swim and my parents didn't let me stay up to watch it. So I didn't watch Naruto for a good 10 years since I wasn't really into anime at all. Fast forward into 2017, Boruto started airing and I wanted to get into it because I actually saw episode 1 with one of my friends. I was so amazed on how good that first scene was with Teen Boruto and Kawaki standing off at the Hokage mountain, ready to battle each other, that I started to watch Naruto again from the very beginning. I watched literally every single episode of Naruto and Naruto Shippuden in order to get ready for Boruto, and I took my damn time with it. Watching 720 episodes may have been a hassle, but I enjoyed each episode thoroughly, even the fillers too. But once I finished Naruto the last, I got straight to it with Boruto. I started Boruto in late 2018 and I eventually caught up toward the end of the Mitsuki retrieval arc where Boruto and the crew were fighting the Octos, and I'm gonna be honest, my initial thoughts of watching the Boruto anime as an anime only is that Boruto was not bad. I heard some controversial things going into it, but overall I enjoyed it for the most part. It was definitely not on the level of OG Naruto, but for me, it was good enough to be a standalone series. And yes, there are some valid criticisms toward Boruto, especially with its slow pacing, but the anime is definitely not as bad as people say it is, especially with the amount of videos trashing it by these big anime YouTubers. But overall, the series in the first 85 episodes or so were solid despite contrary belief. I would give it like a 7 out of 10 as an anime up to that point. This is where I began watching Boruto weekly, and once the anime reached the climax of the Mitsuki retrieval arc, I was fully invested into the series. The parent-child day arc was cool, seeing Naruto and Hima bond with each other, with Sasuke trying to be a good father for Sarada was also really cute to see, but my opinion changed for the series once the Jugo arc started airing, and this is where I dropped the Boruto anime. This arc just wasn't for me. Yeah, there were some cool moments like Konohamaru vs Jugo, but overall with this arc being adapted, I started to lose interest in the Boruto anime. I had no interest for the previous Taka members like Jugo and Karin, and it felt like a chore watching this arc, so I dropped the anime temporarily, waiting for this arc to finish. Once that arc finished, I came back to the anime trying to watch it again for enjoyment, but I struggled to find it. I loved everyone in Team 7 and I did like the new gen, but their characters weren't hitting for me like they used to in earlier arcs like the Nue, Miss Field Trip, and Academy graduation arcs. The Konoha Shinden Steam Ninja Scrolls novel got adapted into the anime after the Jugo arc and some transitional episodes later, and I tried watching it but I just wasn't interested. I find Mirai a cool character, but having her fight basically a Hidan 2.0 just wasn't for me. After that arc and some transitional episodes later, the Riemann arc was airing, but after watching a couple episodes of the Riemann arc, I realized that this anime just wasn't for me. And I didn't think it was trash or anything, but I just didn't like the direction where the anime was going as an anime only watcher, so I dropped the anime in July 2019. Fast forward 3 months later, I'm on Instagram scrolling through my timeline, linking pictures of IG models that I will never get in my life, when I see this poster. It was Boruto falling from the sky alongside Kid Naruto, and in the caption it said time travel arc. So this got me into Boruto again. I decided to watch the One Tails retrieval arc and saw Urashiki fight the likes of Sasuke, Gaara, Boruto, and Shinki, and it did pique my interest again. This is where we got into the time travel arc for Boruto, where Boruto and Sasuke went back in time to stop Urashiki from taking the 9 tails from Kid Naruto, and despite some inconsistencies from the likes of Urashiki, this arc overall was really enjoyable. Seeing Boruto finally understand what Kid Naruto went through as a kid was really satisfying, as he really didn't know anything about his father when he was a kid, and they they brought back the legendary OSTs from OG Naruto, which were banging as well. This is where I decided to fully come back to the Boruto anime once again because it finally got me invested into the story. Around this time, the Mujina Bandits arc was announced at Jump Fest of 2020, and I was hearing that the Boruto anime is finally going to adapt more manga content. Mind you, I did not read the manga at the time, and I wasn't planning to, but after hearing that the Boruto manga was pretty fire, I decided to give it a try. And I'm not gonna hold you, I hated the art style. I was reading One Piece at the time, so of course, making that jump from Oda's art to Ikemoto's was very hard, but it wasn't that bad, however, as I was able to adjust to Ikemoto's art, as I did see some improvements in his art style. But reading the manga was a refreshing moment for me compared to the anime because the main storyline was already developed. I wanted to see Kawaki in the anime fully, but the anime wasn't at that point, so I binged the hell out of the Boruto manga. And all I gotta say is that this manga is flames. The Mujina Bandits arc was a cool arc, but what really caught my attention was the introduction of the Kara organization. Characters like Ao and Kashin Koji really got me invested into the manga. Seeing Kashin Koji whip out Rasengan and body Konohamaru like it was nothing was so crazy, and then of course the GOAT, my GOAT Kawaki finally appeared. He bodied Garo like nothing. Of course, the rest is history with the events of the Boruto manga occurring and then me becoming a Boruto YouTuber. I did rewatch the anime again after catching up to the Boruto manga, where I literally watched every single episode this time, but I do still hold the same opinion about the Jugo, Mirai, and Riemann arc. Those arcs just weren't for me, but now that I got my story out of the way, let's talk about just how good the Boruto series was this year. Let's talk about the anime first. So this year started off with some transitional episodes and then the beginning of the Mujina Bandits arc. There was some expansion added to that arc as they added Hozuki Castle, where Team 7 went off to protect Kokiri, who was a former member of the Mujina gang, and he pulled a 6ix9ine where he was being hunted down by the gang. And overall, this part of the Mujina Bandits arc was interesting to say at the least. The anime did a great job expanding on the Mujina gang and Shoujoji, which paid off during the battle between Boruto and Shoujoji. The battle against Skio was cool as we found out that Skio was actually Shoujoji, the leader of the Mujina gang, and he was the one who ate Kokiri in the end, taking his identity with his jutsu. After the prison portion, we finally jump into the actual manga content of the Mujina Bandits arc, and all I gotta say is that the anime did a really good job developing Tento's character. When I was reading the manga, I didn't really care for Tento's character as I was trying to catch up to the manga quickly, but when you look at Tento's character in the anime, it was a nice change to his character that I never really saw in the manga. Tento was the son of the daimyo, or the feudal lord of the land of fire, and he was a very bratty kid. He was a rich kid and he often flexed his wealth by buying out stores using his credit card. Boruto was assigned to guard Tento for a day in this arc, and this is where I start to appreciate Tento's character a lot more. His relationship with Boruto started off shaky, but over time Tento learned about the way of a shinobi and actually wanted to become one. This is where Boruto taught Tento how to throw a shuriken, which paid off in the end when Boruto was about to be eaten by Shoujoji, and Tento saved Boruto by throwing a shuriken onto Shoujoji's back, ultimately helping Boruto to beat him. I really enjoyed Tento's character a lot as his character developed in a great way, and I do hope he comes back into the series in the future. He may not become a shinobi, but I really enjoy his relationship with Boruto and I hope we see him again in the near future. And I would like to say that this fight between Boruto and Shoujoji was beautifully executed by the anime, and I enjoyed it a lot more compared to its manga counterpart. I've actually watched this multiple times in my downtime because the animation for this fight was just that spectacular. The way the karma was shown on Boruto's hand and seeing Shoujoji's back blown out by Boruto's Rasengan was cool. And this is where we finally got the introduction to the Kara organization and the start of the Kara activation arc. Well, it happened 3 months later because COVID hit and the anime was forced to go on hiatus, which pissed many fans off, including me, because we were this close to getting to Kara and manga content. But all I gotta say with this COVID shit, just wear a mask, dog. Kakashi wore a mask for 720 episodes. If he can do that shit, I guarantee you can do it for a couple more months. I know like COVID's going around, but stay inside, wear a mask, only go outside when you need to buy basic necessities. But come on, man, just wear a fucking mask. But once we finally got to the Kara activation arc, after that banging open with the Kara members shown, we finally saw the likes of Jigen, Victor, and the new anime exclusive Kara inner member Deepa. And the rollout for these characters were great, and the arc opened the world up even more by going to places like the Hidden Rain Village, the Land of Silence, and the Land of Valleys. The first half of this arc started out slow as this arc began with Sasuke and Sai investigating the Hidden Rain Village looking for the Kara organization. After running into an outer member, Naruto becomes worried about the organization after Sasuke and Sai brief him on the internal power that the Kara organization may have. After the first episode, Team 7 7 is sent on a mission to find a man who went missing in the Land of Valleys, and alongside this mission, Mugino accompanied the squad. This character did appear in the manga but didn't really have any significance in the story before he was killed off, so the anime gave Mugino some deserved screen time. And what I appreciate about this arc is that the anime gave development towards side characters like Mugino and Victor, who is an inner member of Kara, where these characters have literally no development in the manga. So the anime fleshing out these characters made them much more enjoyable than their manga counterparts. So after Team 7 failed to rescue this man who actually had Hashirama cells put inside his body, they decide to head to the Land of Silence to recover the Hashirama cell back to the Leaf Village. And this part of the arc was cool as we learned about how rogue shinobi operate, as many thieves and robbers head to this lawless land to conduct their operations. In the Land of Silence, we learn about a set of quadruplets who are also looking to get the Hashirama cell for their country. They actually managed to steal a Hashirama cell from a rich old lady, and they were heading back to the country where Team 7 chased after them. This is where we finally got to the real introduction of Deepa, and I'm not gonna lie, I had very low expectations for this character. After getting Oroshiki, who was so poorly written during the time travel arc, I was nervous about Deepa's character, and he proved literally everyone wrong. From his rollout of bodying everyone that he saw in the Land of Silence, to wiping out Amoi's squad with no difficulty, and then proceeding to baby Team 7 like it was nothing, Deepa quickly became a fan favorite among Boruto fans. He wasn't deeply philosophical or sophisticated, but he was just a fun character who liked killing people. He sort of reminded me of Hidan from the Akatsuki or Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter, with his ominous tone to his character and his thirst for blood. With Deepa, this is the first time we ever saw Team 7 in the mud. Up to that point in the Boruto anime, no villain has ever disrespected Team 7 this bad before. Yeah, we had the likes of Momoshiki and Kinshiki, but that was mostly taken care of by Naruto, Sasuke, and the 5 Kage. This time around, Team 7 couldn't go crying back to their mommy and daddy for getting their ass whooped, so they had to do something about this. And when I tell you how bad this ass whooping Deepa gave them, it was so crazy, man. Sarada got whooped so hard that Sakura's jeans weren't pulling through, and Deepa laughed at Boruto's pathetic Rasengan as he flicked them away like fodder. And the only reason why they survived is because Mitsuki went into sage mode and took them away quickly. This is the first time ever in the Boruto anime where the main characters actually took a fat L, and we finally got something that the Boruto fans have been asking for years, an actual legitimate training arc. This training arc was really good despite being only 3 episodes long. We saw Boruto train under Kakashi, where he wanted to make a powerful Rasengan, and we saw Sarada train under both Sasuke and Sakura to improve her Sharingan, and it was very enjoyable. Boruto learned the Wind Rasengan and the High Compression Rasengan, while Sarada learned how to use her Sharingan much more properly by dodging kunai, while also sparring with Sakura, which I want to say that sparring match between Sarada and Sakura was awesome. Sakura was worried about Sarada, so she decided to take the initiative to train her, and it was a very enjoyable fight to watch. This is where Boruto and Sarada are sent back to the Land of Valleys to back up Konohamaru and Mugino, as they're currently fighting Victor. And with Victor's character, the anime definitely did a good job establishing just how strong he is as a character compared to his manga counterpart, because in the manga he is only relevant for a good 3 pages in chapter 16 before he is killed off by Kashin Koji. So that shows you just how powerful the other inner members of Kara are. So Victor manages to make a bootleg god tree from the Hashirama cells so he can harvest the chakra fruit to obtain eternal life, and this is where Team 7 gets to Victor's company to help out Konohamaru. But Victor then separates Boruto and Sarada away from Konohamaru, and this is where Boruto and Sarada face off against Deepa again. And this is where we get episode 175, which is definitely one of the best episodes in the Boruto anime. The animation, the fighting, the music, it had everything. Orochimaru pulled up with Mitsuki, where Orochimaru teamed up with Konohamaru to fight Victor, while Mitsuki joined up with the squad to face up against Deepa again. And this rematch fight was amazing as Boruto used his high compression Rasengan on Deepa, breaking his armor, and then we see Deepa pull out a new form, and Boruto then does another high compression Rasengan, and this time Mitsuki activates Sage Mode and Sarada helps alongside them as well, which ultimately killed Deepa. And I would like to say with Deepa's character is that he was definitely an enjoyable character, but it looked like he won't be coming back anytime soon. According to Victor and Delta, Deepa has died, and since he is an anime only character, he most likely won't appear in the upcoming Vessel arc. Hopefully he does make an appearance again in the anime in some sort of expansion arc in the future, as he does seem like a great character. The way he was written out of the story wasn't the best, as he did lack some things as a character like a proper motivation or a backstory. The only thing that was mentioned as a motivation is that Deepa wanted to eat the chakra fruit to taste something different, but the anime didn't really explore it that much as I thought it would have. Also, Orochimaru bodied Victor while Konohamaru just sat there like fodder trash. This is the 8th Hokage.
It's time to stop! It's time to stop, okay? No more! Where the fuck are your parents? Who are your parents? I'm gonna call Child Protective Services. It's time to stop!
Like, come on, bro. Like, it's getting kind of pathetic on how Konohamaru has become as a character. It's getting sad because he hasn't gotten the real justice that he deserves. And this was definitely one of the best fights in Boruto, and for an anime-only episode, it was amazing. After this fight, the Kara activation arc ended, and now we are getting the events of chapter 16 and out very soon. So overall for the anime, despite being pushed back for 3 months from the COVID situation, the anime this year was pretty solid. We had some great fights and manga content adapted into the anime. The anime fleshed out side characters like Victor and Mugino, and many fans came back to watch the anime again. So for this year, for the Boruto anime, I would give it an 8 out of 10. The COVID situation ruined what we would have gotten known as the Vessel arc for 2020, but the anime capitalized on giving the fans some manga content adapted like the Mujino Bandits arc and an enjoyable anime exclusive arc like the Kara activation arc. And it was a solid year for the Boruto anime, and I can't wait for the Vessel arc to be adapted next week. So let's talk about the Boruto manga now. So the Boruto manga has definitely gone through some crazy events in 2020. After Naruto and Sasuke got absolutely destroyed by Jigen, Team 7 went off to rescue Naruto. This is where Team 7 went off to battle against Boro, one of the inner members of Kara, and they had some success against Boro as they were able to get some decent hits off, but if it weren't for Momoshiki awakening inside of Boruto's body, they would have definitely died. But this fight honestly was great, as we saw Sarada use Chidori for the very first time, Kawaki and Boruto teaming up to fight together, and creating a new Team 7 with Kawaki, and of course, Momoshiki's awakening. So after Momoshiki went on a rampage and destroyed Boro with that massive Rasengan, the squad headed back, and this is where we get to the Kara hideout, where Kashin Koji tells Amato that he's going to kill Jigen, and also Amato goes to the Hidden Leaf where he pulls a 6ix9ine on the Kara organization. For me, this is where the Boruto series really turned up after the Jigen and Boro fight, especially with the fight between Kashin Koji and Jigen. At that time, there were some crazy theories about Kashin Koji, of course. People were saying Kashin Koji was Jiraiya, Asuma, Kakashi, Konohamaru's dad, you name it. He was such a mysterious character as there were direct correlations to the likes of Jiraiya, with him using Rasengan, Toad summonings, and the ability to enter the Hidden Leaf undetected. So Kashin Koji fighting Jigen had some really high stakes, especially with his identity, and Ikimoto delivered with this fight, man. And when I tell you, man, Ikimoto was in his bag, and he has his problems with speedline spam in fights before, but this wasn't the case for this fight. He definitely delivered, as this is my favorite fight in the entirety of the Boruto manga, especially with the way this fight was drawn. There wasn't speedline spam as usual, and the reveals were insane, along with chapter 43 with the Boroshiki rampage. Chapter 47 has to be one of the best and most hyped chapters in all of the Boruto manga. Jigen died, Kawaki lost his karma seal, we learned that Kaguya betrayed Ishiki, the Ishiki reveal, and of course the Kashin Koji reveal, which literally blew up the Boruto fandom. And this fight was executed so well, especially in chapter 48, with Kashin Koji using stage mode, utilizing all of Jiraiya's old jutsus, and Ishiki using that new dojutsu of his. It was a great fight with some well drawn panels from Ikemoto. It definitely deserves some praise. So after Ishiki beat Kashin Koji and Koji barely escaped from the battle, he headed toward Konoha to find Kawaki to give him the karma seal since his lifespan is running out and he needs Kawaki's body in order to resurrect in the future. Ishiki begins to destroy the Hidden Leaf village trying to find Kawaki, but Boruto takes Ishiki to another dimension using his karma seal with Naruto and Sasuke following them from behind. This is where the trio began to fight Ishiki, and at first they come up empty-handed. Ishiki is casually stomping Naruto and Sasuke with no difficulty at all, which forces Naruto to use the Baryon mode in exchange for his life. Naruto in his Baryon form then proceeds to beat the shit out of Ishiki, taking his life force away, making him get closer to death's door with every punch. Eventually Naruto gets tired from this form, and then Ishiki somehow teleports Kawaki onto the battlefield from the Leaf Village using Naruto's chakra, which was connected from Kawaki's prosthetic arm. This is where we got the last chapter of the year with Boruto chapter 53, where Kawaki tricks Ishiki using a shadow clone and ultimately stomping him out with Boroshiki awakening and stabbing Sasuke's Rinnegan. Overall for the Boruto manga, there was a lot of fighting in each chapter. Every chapter involved some sort of fighting, whether it was the Boro fight, the Kashin Koji fight, or the Ishiki fight. There was always action in each chapter and I loved it. The only thing I had a problem with is that the pacing was really fast. The events of each chapter happened quickly and Ikimoto couldn't slow down the fights due to the fact that the Boruto manga is monthly. Also, there isn't a real buffer time between each fight, so each fight is happening one after another, and this is because the Boro fight, the Kashin Koji fight, and the Ishiki fight is taking place in about a week's time, and this is including the Jigen fight from 2019 as well, as those fights took place very quickly after Jigen whooped Naruto and Sasuke. What I'm hoping the anime does with this part of the Kawaki arc is that there's some sort of expansion with the Kara members like Boro, Delta, Kashin Koji, and Code. Boro was killed off quickly and is not really interesting as a character, as he was only relevant for the fight against Team 7 before being killed off by Momoshiki. Amato turned Delta off in chapter 44 before he left the Leaf Village, making her essentially brain dead. Kashin Koji is currently crippled after escaping his battle against Ishiki, and we don't really know his backstory or how Amato created him, as he is a Jiraiya clone. And Code is nowhere to be found in the story, as he is currently guarding the Ten Tails and he doesn't know anything about Ishiki resurrecting or dying. The inner members of Kara were written out of the story very fast, as Kara is basically disbanded before the time skip. All the members are basically dead, crippled, or not even relevant in the story as of now, which is kind of sad, which makes you think, what will Kishi do in the time skip? Yeah, Kawaki most likely will get Ishiki's karma seal again, but if it's just him and Momoshiki as the villains, the story can be potentially bland with the lack of antagonists post time skip. What makes Naruto Shippuden so special with his antagonists is that there are some good side villains who actually have focus in the series. Villains like Sasori, Deidara, Hidan, Kakazu, and Kabuto are pretty interesting characters, and they have their own separate arcs and backstory to each character. Compared to side villains in Boruto like the Kara members, they don't really have that same development nor depth that the side villains of Naruto Shippuden once had, and this is because Boruto is a monthly manga. Kodachi definitely planned to have the main storyline go quickly in the manga, so once the anime catches up, they can add expansion to the likes of the Kara inner members, which is a good thing. So honestly speaking, the Boruto manga was a good 9 out of 10 this year for me, with chapters 41 to 53 being released this year. There was some great fights, especially with the Kashin Koji and Ishiki fight. There was some amazing plot twists with the Kashin Koji reveal and the Ishiki reveal, some pretty high tension and the development of main characters such as Boruto, Kawaki, and also with Naruto going into Baryon mode, basically sacrificing his life. But also there were some problems like underdeveloped antagonists like Boro, Delta, and Code. There's some pretty fast pacing, and of course Ikamoto, even after the Kashin Koji fight, he went back to spamming speed lines. But overall, I really did enjoy the Boruto manga this year. So now that 2020 for Boruto is finished, it was honestly a very enjoyable year for the series. Both the anime and manga were successful in my eyes, with both being enjoyable as hell, and my 2021 expectations for the Boruto anime and manga are pretty damn high. After getting that amazing Kawaki trailer at Jump Festa and the announcement of the Vessel arc, the anime is definitely going to improve, with it finally going to adapt the Kara members and Kawaki into the Boruto anime. The Owl arc in the Boruto manga was great, so I can't wait to see Kawaki finally animated into the manga after waiting years for this motherfucker to appear. And with the manga, Ikimoto did say that the time skip for Boruto is almost here, so I'm praying that we get the time skip in 2021 once the fight between Boruto versus Naruto, Sasuke, and Kawaki is over. So I have a feeling in 2021 that the Boruto series will definitely become much more accepted than it ever has been before. I know many people have their fair share of problems with the Boruto series, and that's fine, but I'm really hoping with the adaptation of the Vessel arc, many people start coming back to the Boruto series, because to be honest, this series is solid and can be very enjoyable for both anime onlys and manga readers. So yeah, let me know what you think about 2020 for the Boruto series. Was the anime and manga enjoyable for you guys? What are your expectations for Boruto 2021 for both anime and manga? Let me know in the comment section below. So if you liked this video, hit that like button, subscribe, hit the bell as well, and have a good day. Peace.